News coming in. This is according to Canadian media. A majority of the Canadian diplomats working in India outside of Delhi have been evacuated to either Kuala Lumpur or Singapore. Remember, India had requested that extra diplomats be repatriated to Canada, specifically when it comes to Ottawa as well. That's where the request was made. There was a number of over 40 diplomats for which this request was made. But MEA spokesperson Arindam Bagchi has stated that India is just seeking parity when it comes to diplomatic presence in either of the nations. For more on this, we're crossing over to CNN News 18's Foreign Affairs correspondent Abhishek Jha. Abhishek, these reports this is according to Canadian media, where we're learning that a majority of the Canadian diplomats who were working in India outside of Delhi, they've now been evacuated to either Kuala Lumpur or Singapore. What other details are we getting on this?
There has not been any official confirmation from the Canadian side. In fact, the Canadian High Commission in Delhi did not comment on the reports of the media. But there are reports that India has asked several dozen of Canadian diplomats to leave Delhi and other, other cities where the Canadian consulates are working by 10th of October. And several of these diplomats have been, flown away, and some of them have been landing in Singapore and Kuala Lumpur as well. From there onward, they will decide the journey, whether they are going to be there around for some time or whether they'll be traveling back to Canada. So this is what the latest information has been. The exact number of diplomats is apparently around 41, and the deadline that India has set for them to leave is by 10th of October. And there are hardly 5 days left, and by that time, all the diplomats will have to leave. Or then there could be some steps taken by the Indian side that would include, declaring them persona non grata or, ending their diplomatic immunity. So something that would be further downgrading the diplomatic ties between the two nations. So, to avert any such crisis, Canada has tried to evacuate most of its diplomats who have now been away from the country. Several of them have already left. The report is suggesting. And that is largely to ensure that India's demand number of diplomats to prepare the diplomatic strength and numbers by Canadians as well.
Abhishek, when it comes to a situation like this between Canada and India, what is diplomatic protocol? Are diplomats allowed to make statements on a situation like this?
Normally, they don't make any statements because the Canadian Foreign Ministry and the Prime Minister Trudeau, they have been, in the recent days, they have made several remarks regarding the diplomatic row that has erupted between the two sides, and they have said that they have been in regular contact with India. They would, the Prime Minister of Canada has said that they would like the diplomats to be on the ground because of the Canadians and the families, several of hundreds of families that come and go between India and Canada, various cities from India. There have been multiple flights because of the number of people who have been regularly visiting their families and friends. So this is something that can be impacted with these large number of Canadian diplomats leaving India, and that is a situation that was also raised yesterday in the Ministry of External Affairs briefing, to which Arindam Bagchi, the spokesman, said that the priority of India right now is to ensure parity, rank and strength by the Canadian side, and this is where the focus right now is.
All right, Abhishek, I'm going to request that you stay with us because we're now being joined by analyst Sushant Sareen on the line right now. Mr. Sareen, thank you so much for being to CNN News 18. There's a breaking input that's just come in. This is all according to Canadian media, where we're learning that reportedly a majority of Canadian diplomats who were working in India outside of Delhi have been evacuated to either Kuala Lumpur or Singapore. How do you see this development?
Well, I would imagine that, they had been given a deadline up till the 10th of October, apparently. Again, according to reports. And they